What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the real of reality TV. So I, even though will not be watching this upcoming season of Love and Marriage Huntsville on the OWN network, I saw that the new season has been announced, that it's returning in a few weeks. And I could not resist talking about it, because when I saw that they have Hotel sitting up front, not so much center, but just sitting there in this all white, I just really started to think about how ridiculous this show is and what was supposed to be is never what it really was. And honestly, not even just that what the show was supposed to be is not what it ever really was, because I've already talked about the fact that these couples were trash. And when I say the couples were trash, Melody and Hotel, he was trash and the relationship was trash. She continued to try to salvage it, but it wasn't worth it. The other guys, they're trash, and the women that they are married to, in my personal opinion, just want to continue to try to portray this narrative and facade for the viewing audience for the sake of getting a check that I don't feel any of them deserve. I don't think anyone deserves to be on television. Let's just put that out there. So when people who are on these reality shows, which are less expensive to produce, I don't know how much anybody's making on the show, but I can be quite sure that all of them are making more money than what they ever, were making before they were on the show. And the majority of them really need this check. So at this point, it's kind of making Hotel look like he was right, which I don't ever put the word right and him in the same sentence. But when he did that Instagram comment under Carlos's post when he played a clip of the show last season, and it was showing when he and Melody met up and he brought her flowers and Melody rejected him, and his ego can't take it, so he wanted to come under the comment section to respond to someone else's comment, okay, to say that it was fake. He didn't want to bring her flowers. He was told to do it, and we're actors. Remember when he said that? We're actors? And it's like, N-word, you are not an actor. But when you put it all into perspective right now, it's really kind of looking that way. And it's, even though we know a lot of these reality shows are not real, they're just less expensive to produce, and they don't really have a script per se. Like actors have to, learn lines and scripts and read them the right way and all this other stuff. But in all honesty, they kind of are. And that is a sad situation when it comes to this show. Even though they may be living what we might see and deem as real lives, when it comes to these couples, we don't really see what is really going on. I read what the stories are supposed to be, and it was like, this is just trash. So the new season is supposed to be about Hotel facing legal troubles. Yeah, we know about that, but what are they really going to show? Because when we see this image of him in this this cast photo, they've got him suited in all white from neck to toe. All he needed was a white top hat, like seriously, to cover that milk dud head of his, to try to make him seem like he's some black angel. And we all know, should have really just been in an all red suit. You know what I'm saying? Devil in a red suit. But all white, everything is white. The bow tie, the shirt, the jacket, the tight pants that he could barely sit in, and the shoes, all white. I mean, like, when is the last time you have seen a grown man in an all white suit? I can remember going to church years ago, and people would have their little sons for Easter Sunday in an all white suit. Like, honestly, that is the last time I can recall seeing anyone in an all white suit. I'm not talking about a man. I'm talking about anyone. And that was years ago. So he just looks so freaking ridiculous. But anyway, Stormy and Courtney discover an unexpected love triangle as they reconnect with old friends. Destiny returns with a splash to confront her ex-boyfriend, who is now married to a former producer of the show. Is this Love and Hip Hop? Like, what? Why is she even coming back to the show? They're going to have the producer or former producer, I guess, as a castmate, as a friend of the show? Weird. And her new husband, and they had already gotten rid of Destiny, and they're going to bring her back for the sake of some drama so that she can confront this man who's now married and moved on. He's as messy as it may have been, because I did discuss it a little bit. But that just seems so stupid and ridiculous. Again, the show makes no sense. And then it continues. Meanwhile, Letitia and Marcel struggle with the pros and cons of working with family on Maurice and Kimmy's new investment property. Also, Melody takes the ladies away to a tropical isle to work on their friendships, where everyone's past comes to a head. So to me, and even looking at the cast photo, Melody is on the end and sort of, pushed, sort of behind Maurice. To me, this image, it really gives off a message. And to me, the message is that Melody is maybe exiting herself away from this project. And I can see why. She looks done in the picture. And I can understand why. Maurice is trying to look all cool, calm, and collected, like, I got this, and I'm the greatest, while Kimmy is standing there holding her hand on him, like, this is my man, and I'm standing by him. Girl, cool. And then they've got Hotel up front in all white, trying to make it seem like he's innocent. So the white, it is trying to portray innocence because he's going through this criminal court situation after what he did that he tried to deny. And then you've got Gumby and his wife, even though they're standing next to each other, they're not really by each other. And that is indicative of their marriage, because he always looks like he's done with her, and it's kind of got Hotel sort of in the middle, but he's not really in the middle of them, if you get my drift. And so the solo image of Hotel, where he's standing there with his hands clasped in front of him to cover up his tight junk being exposed because the pants are so tight as usual, but in an all white, like everything is white. Even the boutonniere on the jacket is white. They really trying to portray this image of innocence, and it's not working. He looks evil. But this show is just really ridiculous. But honestly, the other thing I wanted to say that I was thinking about, when Melody brought this concept initially to Carlos, she wasn't wanting something like this. She actually was wanting something more like the Joanna and Chip Gaines types of shows, where it's the, Fixer Uppers and, those types of shows that come on HGTV. But we know, that's not Carlos's forte. He's into drama. He's not into building things up. He's more into burning the house down. So I can see why that would not work for him. So he thinks that this is something that's really working. If it's really working, then why aren't the other cities working like this one? And I talked about how Winter tried to explain it, but honestly, I don't even really agree with her with that. I just feel that Carlos really hasn't put in the work that's necessary for these shows to really succeed and prosper. But it's just by chance that this show got the views that it was getting based upon the people whose eyes it caught and decided to talk about it, and the drama within Melody's marriage at the time, and how evil this man was to not even really try to hide it. Yeah, he tried to hide it and said, you need to keep our business in our household, but that, that attitude of his and that narcissism and controlling, he could not really hide that. And Melody was like, enough is enough. So honestly, this probably was the best thing for her, because who knows if it had worked out in another way and they were to have gotten a project picked up by HGTV or, one of those shows where it was about real estate versus what's going on right now, if she would have left in the way that she did. I believe that this actually, God always has a way, I tell you. He always has a way. There's a scripture that says the enemy, he'll try it, but God will take what the enemy meant for evil and make it work out for your good. So ultimately, she may have been disappointed that the HGTV type project wasn't picked up and it was more something like this. But I believe having a project like this was what really catapulted her to have the strength and the energy to get up and get out. And so when I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Even though this show is ridiculous at this point, and the things that have transpired on the show has happened the way that they did, I don't know if it would have happened that way if they had more of like a HGTV project. Because with those types of shows, you don't see, because I watch shows like that all the time, you don't see a whole lot of their personal life. Like, for example, Egypt Sherrod and her husband, they have a show on HGTV called Married to Real Estate. I love that show. Actually, Egypt, she was a host of the reunion, I think, 1 year. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 years, but I know she was for at least 1 year. You don't see a whole lot of their personal life. They show a few things here and there, but for the most part, it's about the real estate. It's about the renovations and all of those different things in the before and afters. It's not really about their personal life. So who's to say if they had a show like that, if it would have worked out for Melody, where she would have gotten out of this marriage. So it's actually probably a good thing that the show that they had picked up focused more on the relationships versus the business. And I know that a lot of people felt like, well, this show was supposed to be about that, and we're not really seeing a whole lot of that, and we're not even really seeing a whole lot of what's really going on in these people's lives. And I agree with that also, but I also would venture to say that I feel like the show has already served its purpose at this point in time, because I do believe it's the catalyst that helped to catapult Melody to get up and get out of this. And now I just believe that they just need to shut it down. I'm not here to try to cause anyone to lose their jobs or anything like that. I know that there are a lot of people who depend on this check. But this show is just freaking ridiculous at this point. Talking about Destiny returning to confront her ex-boyfriend. He's married. I mean, that's so stupid. That makes no sense. Even though the way things may have happened may have been messy, she already sat and talked about it on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Girl, talk about it on your podcast and on your social media platforms, but I guess she needs a check and somebody feels sorry for her, so they're allowing that to happen. But it's stupid. It's stupid. And then you're not hearing anything about Letitia and Marcel's many lawsuits. I don't want to hear about them struggling with the pros and cons of working with Maurice and Kimmy on investment property. And then, so I assume that's going to be Maurice and Kimmy's storyline. Of course, even though I'm not watching the show, so I don't really care. But I guess that's better than sitting and watching those two talking about how Kimmy is taking vitamins and shots and toys and all this other stuff in order to get her sex drive up so that she could please her man. Like, I guess people could do without that. But I digress. I'm just over it. But I really wanted to speak to the fact that they're trying to make hotel look innocent. He looks so disgusting, so despicable. And then you've got Melody, who's, pushed off to the side and back. But I believe that, again, is by her okay and her design. The whole picture is a message. If you get it, then you get it. If you don't, then you don't. So I just really wanted to speak to the cast photo and just speak to the purpose of the show and how I believe it's already served its purpose, and why I feel that the way things shook out was the best for Melody in terms of getting the exposure that she needed to show how evil the man was that she was married to, and even for her to see it even more so and have, like the Bible says, a great cloud of witnesses, and to get up and get out. And now she can move on and do the other things that she's been working on in her businesses and in her life. And I'm happy for her, but this show is so ridiculous. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on the cast photo and the concept of the show and why it actually worked out where it didn't work out to be some sort of HGTV type show ultimately in the end. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.